Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Lights On. I'm your host, Jianna, and this is a podcast about building yourself as the foundation for everything in your life, both personally and professionally. Today, we are going to talk about storytelling, and we're going to have meaningful conversations that turn the lights on inside of our heads. We have Sumedha here with us today. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Sumedha is a recent graduate from UMass Boston and a personal friend. She is currently navigating post-grad and the job market. So thank you for being here today. I'm so excited to have this conversation. How are you feeling?
Thank you so much. I'm excited too because this is all the conversations that we have already been talking about, and then I'm really excited to share all of this with everybody. So I am an international student. So I came to Boston 2 years ago, and I also grew up in a business family while I was really young. So it's all a different culture that I've entirely come into, and then I'm building myself here. I finished my master's in December, and in the meanwhile, while I'm job hunting, I'm also delivering some personal branding workshops for students, and I'm also going to do a keynote. I'm going as a keynote speaker in Bob Cargill's Marketing Roadshow on my topic, which is the art of storytelling.
So I'm really excited about that. If anyone wants to hear her keynote, it's up on YouTube. But we really want to talk about storytelling today, and basically we want to cover why stories matter.
Yes.
And when you say the art of storytelling, what do you mean by that?
So I personally see storytelling as something that is not specific to any particular topic itself. Storytelling is not something that's only in English literature or poetry and stuff like that. But then I feel that storytelling is something which is really important to the human race as a whole, because stories help in connecting with people, be it on a personal level or a professional level as well. Because let's say if I just showed you a dashboard and I'm like, this is what we did, it wouldn't really make much sense. But then if I actually narrated it to you, a story, that would rather stay in your head much longer, and the kind of decisions that people take would be more effective. So I feel that storytelling is really important, and it's everywhere. It can be applied everywhere.
Mm-hmm. I agree with what you said about, like, if you show me a dashboard. I think that there's a lot of jobs where you're taking numbers and you're making them easy for people to understand, and that's a form of storytelling.
Yeah.
For me, in business, with pitching, like, that's also a form of storytelling. What's your problem and why, what you're pitching? So storytelling is definitely important. So I also wanted to touch on marketing yourself and how storytelling can really help with personal branding, and why should you put yourself out there, and why should you share your story with the world?
Everybody.
Yeah.
That's a really nice question, because I think especially me and people around our age who are jumping into the job market right now, it's really important to understand that we're all living in a digital world, right? So gone are those days where you just write down on resumes, go to offices, and then just hand over your resumes to people and then talk about yourself. But to be honest, this is a much easier, these are much easier times to market yourself, because you don't really have to wait for the other person to, like, receive your resume, but rather you have all of these platforms like YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, where you just keep documenting your work and then you just keep posting it there. And there's no rule to, like, this is the right way to post, or this is the right way to tell your story. Just keep doing it, because all of those are teeny tiny bits of work that you're leaving, where it also shows that you're passionate about things, what you're learning right now, literally anything and everything that's personal and professional.
Definitely. And you said we're in a digital age where you should be putting yourself out there. You should be leaving things for people to see, especially when you're trying to get a job, to help you stand out. I know personally, for me, LinkedIn is something that's a little hard to start with, because everyone talks about LinkedIn and nobody talks about how to make it really yours, how to make it personal. So talking about ways to put yourself out there, however that means to you, whether that be writing, like just pictures, video, just who do you want the world to see you as,
Yeah.
and how do you want to use that for your life? And that encompasses your personal brand,
True.
who you are just as a person, as a friend, in relationships, but then also in professional careers.
Yeah.
And you also touched on documenting, which is the second point that I wanted to cover. Why do you think that capturing experiences matters?
I feel that it's really important to capture your experience because that's something that you're leaving for the world to look at as to who you are as a person and how you've shaped yourself from, like let's say I started my university here. So the kind of post that I put in my first semester, I was not posting at all. I just said that, hey, I got this, I got into this university, and then I said, hey, I got this on-campus job. And then once I started posting, it literally also helped me look back at all of those posts and be like, wait, I am actually doing a lot of things. So it's kind of a self-reflection that you could do with when you're documenting things. And especially being students, when you are working on different projects, when you document, it's literally you writing down your mind map there, where you're saying that it started with this thought and then I went on with these steps. So let's say if you have all of this documented, probably a year or two later, if you have something similar, a project that you're doing, you do not have to sit down and be like, wait, I did something exactly like this, but I do not remember what I did. But rather you just go back to that notebook or that document that you've created and you just skim it and you'd be like, oh, I think this is what I was thinking then. So that's entirely like, a self-reflection on a personal and a professional level, on both ways.
And I also think it's interesting because we're going to go into self-reflection a little bit, but we are taught in school how to take notes.
Yes.
And take notes that you can read and you can understand, so you can look back on them when it comes to utilizing that for an exam and things. And I don't know why we are never taught how to do that for our lives.
Yeah, I mean, so in school, like you just mentioned, so we were just asked to take notes, but then we never knew why we were taking notes. So that was a really boring task. Like, okay, the teacher is just asking me to take notes, let me write it down. But the entire point behind it is what we're discovering now, I feel.
Exactly. Like touching on a little bit more of self-reflection, I think that documenting is really important because it helps you see change, like you said. It helps you as you're growing, physically and mentally, to be able to look back and see where you were. And that, like you said, in a professional aspect, if you're looking back at something you've already done and something else similar comes up, that will help you understand how to handle that situation. And that happens even in relationships, and with yourself as a person. Once you come to a point or an experience that you've had before, being able to look back and actually watch yourself grow is very important. And I think that we don't really think about that a lot. We just go through life. We don't really, document a lot of it.
True.
But so basically I was saying how we don't talk about how important documenting is, and how it can really help us recognize similarities between our lives as we're growing. And
and I feel one other example that I could take is that, especially when it comes to your personal life, if you are journaling, which you could also call it documenting your personal journey. Let's say there's a really stressful situation going on, and then you definitely look out for help, and then you might be reading articles, you might be reaching out to people, or you might just be sitting down and thinking, and then you find your way out. And let's say you did not document it then, and eventually life gets really smooth for you, right? And you just get carried away with your regular tasks, the chores, and every other thing. And there might be a time where you might just lose yourself, like, wait, I have become better from somewhere. But documenting really helps you, because when you look back, it would also show you that you are doing really great. You would also you don't need validation from the outside world, but you could just look it back at yourself and then be like, I know what I'm doing.
It's like you said, if you look back and you don't have those things, how would you remember all of the things that you've already done and how you got where you are? So we were talking about journaling and how some of our crew members also think that it's cool. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about reflection, and how for some people it comes easily and for others it doesn't. So like when we talk about journaling, like you talked about, that might come easy to, some people, and for others it might be harder to pause and like actually reflect, like what is it that I'm feeling, like what do I even do with this?
Yep.
So documenting doesn't just have to be something like journaling. So what ways do you think a person can document their process and their growth?
Even before I get there to what the ways are for, documenting their process and journaling, I feel that sometimes it becomes, it's not that it's difficult for people to, self-reflect, but it's just that, you do not be in that conscious, thought that, I want to become a better person, I want to, keep doing things for myself, I want to do this for the world, I want to be good, and all of these. So I feel that as long as people do not have this idea at all in their head that, they want to keep checking if they're on the right path or not, to keep checking if they're, doing the right things or not, I think that mindset itself, when you start with these questions, you could probably start reflecting on yourself, and then you, like you mentioned, slowing down, and then, like notice the world around you. And then maybe you can take notes from people around, like, wait, there is the situation, this is how I handle it, but let me look at Jianna, how does she handle it? So this is kind of how you can also learn to self-reflect. But one of the other ways that you could follow in, like to document your personal journey is, of course, you can, like sit down and do journaling. And one thing that I do is, for me, journaling kind of feels a little difficult because it's like the thoughts are running, and then my mind is, my hand is like, I cannot scribble faster than this. And then that's kind of why, and I'm really into art. So I rather take a minute and then I sit down and like, I pause, and then I connect all of these thoughts with something that I can draw. And then I sit down and draw that particular piece, and then I write like probably 3 or 4 lines around that.
About like what it is.
Yeah, about like what it is, or like I've learned something from this, and then
what it made you feel.
Yes, exactly. What it made me feel, or how did this experience, or like through this drawing, what am I trying to tell myself or the people?
Why is this here?
Exactly, exactly. So that's kind of my way, I kind of try to express it with art, and just like 2 or 3 lines, or like just a couple of quotations that come out of my head, of course.
Yeah, like what you said about self-reflection, like to be self-reflective, you have to be aware.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of times we're not taught how to be aware. Like, I think that people stop teaching you that once you're not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
Like when you're a kid, like people are always telling you like, oh, you feel angry and that's why you like acted this way, and like when you feel this you should do this. But then like you get older and you're expected to just know how to do that by yourself. And I think that a lot of times, if like you said, if you're not a person who just is naturally thinking about how do I become better, like how do I make sure that I am reacting positively to the experiences that I'm having, it can be hard for you to take a moment and pause and just reflect. Like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? So I definitely understand where people are coming from with that. And one thing that you said that is literally like the first step, just stop. Like, just pause.
Yeah, take a pause.
Just, take a breather. Like, you're alive, and that's fine. And that's all you have to be at the moment, Like, just take a moment, look around you, ask yourself questions, I think. Because when you... like self-reflection is literally just you asking yourself questions about yourself, about your experiences, about the world, and then figuring out the answers. Like you don't even have to have the answers. The whole point of reflecting is that you're noticing something about yourself, about a situation, and you're trying to understand it. And once you understand it, then you learn, like you said, through. So, okay, what did other people do in this case? If they didn't document their, like for me, when I was growing, when I was like in high school, like learning how to like self-reflect and how to grow as a person, and like get the skills that I really wanted to have, like I would watch YouTube videos. And if no one was recording those and like being honest about their process, then like we wouldn't have any of that. So
that's documenting and storytelling together.
yeah, exactly. So it doesn't have to just be writing, because I know that for a lot of people, writing is not that easy. Like for me, I was mentioning a little bit about how I have a lot of thoughts in my head all of the time. So writing is just a way for me to just get it out. It doesn't even have to be good. Like it's actually better when it's not good, because that's what makes it better later. And then you can look back and you can really connect with that version of yourself that wrote that, you know, or drew that, like you said. If art is your thing, even if art isn't your thing, if you just don't like writing words and you prefer shapes, like just draw, you know? It doesn't have to be good.
And, you know, like, I think it's usually taught to us, you know, ever since childhood that, you know, if you're doing anything, you know, make sure you're doing it good, you're getting it right. But no, you do not have to. There's no such rule that if you're journaling, that's literally your dear diary. So you're just writing it, you know, all of your thoughts, and there's no perfect, you know, there's no rule that, you know, I gotta write it like this, I gotta write it like that. And if I'm drawing, come on, I'm not trying to be Picasso or, you know, all the other big stars in the art industry, but then I'm just writing it in my own book because that's my thought. So there's no perfect way, there are no rules, but you just be yourself. Because I feel that when you're journaling or when you're drawing or any of these things that you're doing, that's literally the place where you can be yourself.
That's like where you can be your most authentic, like, not to, you know, I mean, people talk about, like, this conversation, I feel like people can, like, see it as, like, cringe, like, oh, just be yourself. But, like, seriously, just do it. Like, if you can't be yourself, how are you going to be anything else that you want to be in your life? You know? Like, you need to have that foundation, and how can you do that if you can't even, like, reflect on yourself, understand who you are and why you are the way that you are. And like drawing, journaling, all of that really helps you get there. And also, if you care about being good and you want to be good, that will help you be good. Like you have to be bad first, you know? Like you don't just like learn how to walk. Like we don't come out the womb walking. Like we have to fall a few times. Like not to, you know, be like what people are always saying, but that's just the way that it is. That's just the human experience.
And so, there's no perfect timeline. You just go with the flow. You like, you know, you have your own time, I have my own time, and you do not keep thinking that, wait, she's doing this. Wow, what am I doing? What am I doing? Wait, she's also not doing things that you are doing. So why don't you just focus on yourself and be like, wait, I did this, I did that. Let me appreciate myself for doing all of these.
Exactly. Yeah. So in summary, different ways to reflect can be anything from writing to drawing, like art, video. You can take pictures, diagrams. We're gonna have some examples coming up in a few minutes.
And I think, you know, some people literally, you know, there's a friend of mine who just sits down, probably stares into the blank ceiling or just into the nature around, and he just goes singing. And that's his way. So you might probably find something like that in a song, and that's something you relate to, and maybe you singing and recording that is you documenting.
Yeah, exactly. Just something that you can look back on. Sometimes you have experiences and you remember them, but you need to pause and recognize and be in the moment so that you can actually remember it. If you're not in the moment, you're not gonna remember. It's just you're gonna fly right by it, just like all of the days that we don't remember in our lives. But yeah, so we can transition. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. So basically, what you're doing with this is you're leaving breadcrumbs for your past self or for your future self to look back on and see, okay, how did I get here? How did I get where I am right now? And that's so important, because to get wherever you're going in the future, you have to start where you are. And where you are, you were somewhere else.
Exactly, yes.
So leaving proof of your journey is important. And I'm trying to think of a question to ask you, but you can just go ahead and say something to go off of that. Like, leaving proof of your journey is important, and looking back to see how much you've grown is important. I think that something that you were saying was that you started documenting at an older age. Like, you started documenting very recently, and you started because you said that you wished that you had something to look back on to know, okay, like, I remember this situation happening, but I don't remember what I did. So then you started documenting. So can you talk some
Definitely.
about that?
It's really good to know that you started your documenting, you know, like your journaling journey when you were really young. But then I never did that because I was like, I gotta write a lot, no, I'm not doing this. But then I started doing this now because, you know, again, like I mentioned, I'm an international student. And then, you know, over the past 2 years, I'm sure there's a lot of things that I've learned. There are a lot of situations that I've been into. The tough ones, the really nice ones are really great, of course, but then the tough ones are the ones that, you know, like they're teaching you something. And then I never documented. And, you know, sometimes when I sit back to just, like, you know, look back and be like, I'm sure I became a better person. I'm sure I've moved from here to here. But then I, you know, like, there are some dots that are missing. I kind of felt that, and you know, that literally left me with this. And you know, I actually got scared because I'm like, wait, am I like kind of, you know, I'm kind of losing connection. I'm losing myself. I kind of got these kind of thoughts, you know, because I know that I did better. I know that I was in a bad place, and I pushed myself. I got better, but
You're
then
like, why is this part of my life not there?
Yeah, and it's not there.
Yeah.
And then I've decided that, you know, I am going to document, because let's say there's 2 years or 5 years down the lane, if a high school kid, or if somebody who's just joined, you know, for their undergrad or grad, and they're starting their journey, and they'd come to me and be like, hey Sumedha, do you have any tips? I see that you finished your master's in not your home country. And I'm like, I just studied.
You're like, yeah, I don't know. I was on autopilot the whole time. Like, yeah.
But rather, you know, if I'm documenting, it's going to be helpful for myself, because I'm like, I have something to look back, and then that's literally really personal to me. And then I'm like, wait, I am in my own, you know, like I have this is my safe place. And to be honest, sometimes, you know, documenting and doing all of this also helps, because you will not have somebody to, you know, call and talk to all the time. But then this book is right here.
Exactly.
And you can just write it down.
Yeah, and I think that something I think about a lot is that helps me be just like nicer to myself as I'm growing is like learning how to see yourself as a person. And that goes directly with what you just said. You can't, there's never going to be someone that you are always going to be able to talk to, like a human being, you know what I mean? But you have yourself, and like being able to see yourself as a person and like watch yourself grow as you would anyone else, like show that same kindness that you see to those people, to you, and like recognize that if other people's stories are impactful for you, and if you care about other people and their stories, then you should care about yours as well. And not being afraid of like asking yourself those questions and just sitting with it. It's okay. Like, sometimes it's uncomfortable. I think that that's another reason why like self-reflection is so difficult, is because sometimes like you hit moments where like it's uncomfortable because it's unknown. Like, you don't know why. You don't know why you reacted that way, why you feel this way, like why the situation's happening. But being able to sit with that discomfort and recognizing that you're fine and that, you know, you're gonna figure it out. Like, that takes a lot of courage, but it also is what gets you to the next level.
True. Adding to that, you know, so like you said, yes, people might be scared, and you might not get the answer right then and there, like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I feeling this way? But it all starts with the question why. Because I personally feel that if you have this thought in your subconscious, yes, you might be doing all of your things, but then your subconscious is still doing its job too. And eventually, as you have planted that seed of thought that, but why did I do this? Why did I do this? I want to do better. And that's kind of where, you know, it all starts to make more sense. And then at some point you might be just staring at the sky and then you might just get an answer.
Yeah.
That happened with me a lot of times, and I definitely, in fact, I'd be sharing a couple pictures from my book as well, where there were times where I was being really confused. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? I want to do something to fix this. I want to get better. And, you know, it all just starts there. And another thing about, you know, you mentioned that, you know, as you care for people, you document. I feel all of these TEDx talks that you listen to, or the videos on Instagram that sometimes really inspire and move you, that is happening, and they are able to help you because they documented. And if you care for yourself, yes, document it, and you can just look back into. But if you also want your journey or your story to help others, just put it out there. You know, like, use the advantage of the digital world that we're living in right now.
And another side of that is a good way to get started is, like, get started even just self-reflecting, is, like, when you see videos like that, when you, like, talk to someone for the first time and you have a good conversation, or, like, when you see something that makes you feel something, document what that made you feel and why. Take a second and pause and be like, okay, this is what I'm feeling when I watch this video, when I talk to this person. Like, they made me, you know, I have all these questions, or, like, they made me see something differently. Like, what is this feeling? What is this feeling that I'm feeling? And just document the feeling, because that, even if it's bad, like, even if you watch a video and it makes you angry, like, document that, because that helps you understand where you are, like, who you are, why, you know? You know, and then you can ask why once you pause and just document that.
And I feel what you just mentioned is really important, because we all doom scroll, right? So there are a lot of things that you just keep doing, keep scrolling, and then I mean, like, there are a lot of things that you've learned from, let's say, just a reel, or there are a lot of times where you might want to just take a pause and think about what he was actually saying in that reel, or what you actually saw. But then your mind is so used to scrolling all the time that the thoughts really keep passing that quick. So when you just take a moment and sit down, it would also help your mind to calm down first. Even if you don't want to, like, you know, sit down and document or anything, but, like, I feel it's important for everybody to take some time to just sit down in the silence. Even, like, you know, let's say, even while you're taking a shower, which is like 10 minutes, do not play the music then. I mean, come on, just be there, enjoy the water on you. And probably you'll have a lot of thoughts then, and probably just, you know, like, just take it like a moment to calm down, or to just pause.
Give yourself time to think, just to be.
Just to, you know, just to feel that you're living rather than running all the time.
Let's share a little bit about the breadcrumbs that we've left ourselves. So, like, if you would like to share your drawings. That we were talking about.
This is like a little book that I started using, and then I kind of wrote on the cover page itself, "Life as it is," because this is literally me taking pauses and leaving breadcrumbs for myself. So I'll just share this one example from this book. So if you can see, this says acceptance, and then there's a lot of people walking here with different clocks on their head, and all these clocks don't say the same time. And that literally is, in life, everybody's clock is ticking differently, and here you can see that everybody has a different clock, their timeline is different, so there's no rush. You do not have to keep comparing with them, because, like, if you can see it here, it says 3 o'clock, and the other one says 7 o'clock, the other one says something else, and the expressions on each of these faces is happy, sad, you know, just lost in thoughts, and all of that kind. So
just like you're on your own path.
You're on your own path. And one more small gesture that I did for myself when I got this thought was, I first drew it, I just gave it a title, wrote a little about it, and the watch I'm wearing right now, I bought this as you know, a symbol. Like, every time I get this thought that am I late? What's going on with my life? I just take a look at this watch and then I'm like, my time is different. My clock is ticking differently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone's on their own path, and not comparing yourself with other people is important so that you can have time to stop, reflect, and grow.
Yes.
And then you also have a very simple drawing in that one if you want to show it. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is my personal and this kind of comes to my professional. So this is me, it's literally scribbling. It's like me trying to plan my guest lecture for Fisher College, which was on critical thinking in the age of AI. And while I was, preparing for it, I just sat down writing all of my thoughts. I was trying to, like this is all of me trying to jot down all of my thoughts and be like, okay, what am I covering in this? What am I trying to communicate? Are the students going to understand? And so yes, the next time
if I diagram.
Exactly, yeah. And the next time
documenting. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, and the next time if I want to like do something similar, I just go back to this book and okay, so I can just follow this roadmap and I can try something similar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are kind of examples of like you starting kind of later to document, and then my examples are.
And I'm excited.
Yeah, mine are the opposite. So mine are starting from when I was very, very young. I have so many journals, and I'll put pictures up. But this one is from when I was 9. It has Hello Kitty on it and a little a little lock. But I'll just share a little so I was 9, right? I had, my life was very early, but anything that I was feeling, if I was excited about something, if I got, a new game for my Wii or something, I would write it, I would draw it, and that's a good example of just, whatever you're feeling in the moment, just write it down, document it somehow. I drew it with crayon, and it's there, and it helps me remember that version of myself.
True.
And then this one is from all of high school and all of college, so there's a lot going on in this one, but it's really important for me to be able to see how my skills have grown and how my mindset has shifted throughout my life, and that's really important for how I want to continue to grow. So one thing that was really important for me here is a letter that my manager wrote me when I left my internship, giving me props for the way that I was speaking to clients at my job. I was cold calling people, and I would take a little bit more time to understand what it is that they were looking for, and she said that patience and kindness really reflected well on the team, and that meant a lot to me because as someone who has always been very reflective and kind of sensitive, and understanding people is important to me. I was trying to learn as I was younger how I can actually use that, so having that documented and being able to see in the end how that's actually helpful for my career and how I present myself in the world was really important to me. So yeah, just some examples for from very young to very not to where we are now. That's not what I meant, but yeah. So yeah, let's just wrap it up with just a final thought, which is basically you are more than your job and more than your career, and I think that this is something that people who are older than us are always telling us, there's the meme of people in their 30s hitting quarter life crises and doing hobbies and things, and I think that if we're starting at this age right now, just getting out of college or just starting college or wherever you're at, recognizing that the person that you are is more than just your career, and also building that person is what's going to help you succeed in your career. Yeah.
So related to that, I feel, at least for me, growing up, I've heard that okay, so what is the course that you want to do? What is it that you want to pursue? And I didn't know something beyond that. But one thing that I've realized after coming here and meeting a lot of professionals is that they do not just stick to their job. It's not hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm a professor at this university, and it does not end there. They are literally being a part of different communities. They are doing volunteer work. In fact, look at you. You started your podcast channel, and that was out of your passion, right?
Yeah.
So there's not just one title that is completely tied to your identity, because come on, we're all human beings and we have different interests. So I think we should explore all of them, and there's no such thing that is like, I have to just do this job, and can I really pursue the other things, because I don't know how much are they gonna help me professionally. There's no such thing like
Just
that.
do it.
Just do it, because
Like, it's fine.
yeah, and I say that, you have to explore the other options, because one, you will learn what you like, what you don't. And another thing is that you are going to meet amazing people throughout this journey.
Exactly.
And when you're being really scared, but you still try, I mean, if you're sitting in your room and be like, wait, I want to try this, but I'm really scared, nothing's going to happen. But then if you go out there, put yourself out in the world, and then you probably share this thought with your mentor or your professor or someone, be like, you know what, I'm interested in this, I don't know how to go with it, but I want to try. The world is out there sitting to help you.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you met a lot of people along the way too, who
Yeah.
literally helped you set this up.
Yeah. So like, we'll end off with like, basically, you're not as alone as you think. There's
Yes.
people out there who are willing to help you.
True.
And you should be one of those people for yourself as well. So yeah, that's basically today's conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah. So
It was amazing.
yeah, I know. We had so much fun today. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching as well. If you liked it, subscribe, share, hit the like button, and all of those things. I'm still very new to podcasting, so like, just share what you liked. Comment, because also comments are really helpful for me, because I can figure out what you want to hear more of. So tell me everything that you want to. And yeah, thanks for watching. Shout out to Suffolk University and Studio 73 for having us today. And see you next time. Bye.